Basically, how this all started, this was spring break a couple years ago. My brother had decided that he really wanted to go on a hiking trip, like a big hiking trip, like 30 miles or something over 4 days. And he had his girlfriend, Sam, and his friend Aaron, who were already going, and he wanted me to go. So he's, come on, Harry, you'll be all right. Come on, Harry, come on, you'll be fine. Okay, let's just do this. It'll be fun. You'll enjoy a good hiking experience. Like you're still out there for like 4 days, but it'll be cool, right? And I enjoy hiking, but I wasn't in great shape at the time, right? I was kind of hesitant of like, oh, I'm kind of gonna be holding them back, maybe like, what if it just sucks? And also, it's just us. There's no so-called responsible people. Like we're just children in our early 20s going on this massive hiking trip where we planned it out with a map, right? But I mean, we don't actually know what we're dealing with until we get there. Like, what if it's not? There's a lot of variables, right? And so I agree eventually, right? I'm just like, you know what? It'll be fun. If he's screwed over, I'll be screwed over as well, whatever, right? My dad drives us out. We park one car at the end of the trail, and then he drops us off at the beginning so we can just walk down there and then drive back on our own, right? And yeah, we set off. We grab all our stuff and we head out. My dad's just like, all right, last chance to turn back. And I should have taken that more seriously. I should have maybe put some thought into him saying that. But I didn't. I just was like, okay. And then he drove off, and that was that. And so we got started. And the first 2 miles, not too bad, really, right? It's just a normal hike. It was pretty steep. Like, it seemed like it was a challenging hike, right? But it's like, okay, we're knocking out like 7 to 8 miles per day. So if we're just going the whole day, we don't really have to go that fast or anything. We get to about that like mile 3 marker, and at this point I'm like getting pretty gassed because this is, I was in not so good shape, and this was a pretty steep incline. So I'm like, all right, wait, let's take a break, maybe grab some food and water and everything, and we just get right back to it. And as we're getting closer to our destination for that day, which is like 7-8 miles in, it starts to get pretty dark, right? And we start hitting these switchbacks. And as it gets darker and darker, and we're thinking like, okay, where's the campsite? We're looking for this little shelter on the map is what we planned out. But then we start arguing if the shelter even exists, right? Like maybe we've effed up, Maybe the shelter is just was there when they made the trail many years ago, and it's just completely collapsed by now. And so then we're also thinking we missed a switchback and everything, and it's just like, all right, let's just stop for a second, let's look around a bit, because we're about at that distance where we think it should be. And so Sam and I, Nick's girlfriend Sam and I, just sit down, because we're pretty gassed, and then Aaron and Nick go and look around. And after like 5 minutes of looking or something, Nick like yells out that he found it, right? So he comes back, gets us, we find him, and we go to the shelter, and there's this guy sitting in there, and he has this like infrared light on his head. He looks about like 20, 24, 25, he's like we talked to him a little bit. He was this like student at Western Carolina or something, senior there, and he's just like this dude just looks like a pro hiker and everything, right? So like, all right, cool, man. Yeah, we'll, share the shelter with him and everything. It's all good. And so we have some food. We're eating some like Nutella sandwiches and shit, and it's all good. We fill up. Happy days. And then we put our food in a bear bag, so that we don't just get wrecked by bears in the night. Put it up in a tree. And we try and go off to sleep. And so we get our sleeping bags and everything. And people are starting to drift off, and it starts raining. So I'm like, oh shit, the food's effed, right? And that's just how it goes. But then I also noticed something crawled over my leg, and this thing had some weight to it. And I'm just like, what the like, I don't want to wake everyone up by just like yelling or anything, but like, I'm trying to get this thing off me. It crawled over my leg again, And I'm just like, oh god, like, what the fuck is this? I can't tell at first. And eventually I figure out it's a fucking rat, right? We've spilled some food somewhere or something, and this rats trying to get out of the rain into our shelter and everything. And so I'm like kicking, trying to get it off of me, and like violent kicks, which Nick later told me like he saw that and he was just like, what the fuck are you doing? And it like crawled over my chest up towards my head, and I like closed the top of my sleeping bag with my hands, and just made sure I could get it out. And once like 10-15 minutes had passed of nothing, I just eventually I was able to fall asleep and everything. And so we wake up that next day, and I was extremely sore. Like probably some of the sorest I've ever been. It's really sore, and we just set out. We try and grab our bear bag. It's completely soaked, of course, and that's just how it goes, right? And so we're like, all right, whatever. We had some food in like plastic bags inside of the bag and everything. So we'll just keep whatever we can, and then we'll keep moving. So we keep moving. Day 2 is pretty good. Difficult hike, and nothing really notable happens until we get to our next site that we're going to sleep at. And so we decide on, because there was no other shelter the rest of the way. So what we had planned for our shelter, given that there were no shelters on the trail, it wasn't tents, okay? It wasn't anything special. It was a tarp and a rope for 2 people. A tarp and a rope, a plastic tarp to block rain, and a fucking rope to hold it up. That was it, right? Then we got our sleeping bags and clothes to keep us warm. And so we set up on this little mountaintop, right, where the land was pretty flat. It would be hard to set up and sleep there. And we roll out our sleeping bags. We eat our food, and we set up these tarps and ropes. And it was Aaron and I under one, and then Nick and Sam under the other, right? And so get all our clothes on, get inside our sleeping bags, and we try and get to sleep, right? I just can't express how fucking cold it was, dude. So cold. And there's wind chill on top of the mountain as well, right? This is like early spring break in North Carolina, and it's so cold up on this mountain. And so I literally was shaking the entire night. Like, I can't get to sleep. I was just like, I literally probably got 3 hours of sleep that whole night, because I'm just in and out, and I'm just waking up back to this fucking freezing mountaintop where I'm shivering and everything. It's just fucking terrible. And then in the morning, I kind of wake back up to Aaron asking, he's like, "Are you okay, dude? Dude, are you all right?" And it's because I was literally shaking. He thought I was having a seizure or something, And I'm like, "No, dude, I'm all right. We're good." And I try and reach over and just grab some water, refresh myself in the morning. It's frozen, right? It's just frozen, right? And I'm just like, okay, fuck this, man, right? And so we all get together, right? It was a terrible night for everyone, and so we're just like, fuck sleeping on that again, and this shit tarp and rope. We're finishing this shit today. So originally it was a 30-mile hike planned over 4 days, and we're cutting it down to 3 days, right? And we've done like 8 miles the first 1 and 2 days, so we're planning on having a 14-mile day today, which is pretty tough for the difficulty of hiking it is, right? And so we're like, all right, whatever though. We're leaving at 6 a.m. We'll make it by nightfall. It'll be okay. And we're like, all right, yeah, let's do it. And so we get out. We're just marching along. We don't have any water, right? Keep that in mind. We don't have any water, so we're just looking for streams or anything. The ice, the water in our bottles is frozen in ice, so we can't get that out either to fill it up completely with water. So we just obviously fill up a little bit of water with the ice as it melts and everything. What we end up finding is this group of campers by the road, right? And they're all posted up. They got their gas little cooking stoves and shit. Like, they are fucking glamping compared to the shit we're doing. And yeah, we basically are just like, oh god, we gotta ask them for water, right? Like, let's, we gotta see if they have any. I think we spotted some water jugs on a little table they had set up too. So it's just, they have it laid out for us, just feasting our eyes, and we're just like, all right, I'll just go do it. And so I go over there, and I just beg them for their water, basically, right? I'm just like, please, man, our shit froze overnight, please. Like, please, man. And, they're campers, they're good people, right? And they hook us up with some water. And I'm just like, thank you, bro. I appreciate that so much. And then we're on our way after that. And so we keep moving. We get to a nice little lunch spot, Like, this was still a nice hike with nice views and everything. Like, can't forget that there were some good parts to the story, for sure, right? And we sit there for a bit, have our lunch, and we decide where we're going next. We look at the map, and we start going down this really steep hill on the side of a mountain, a bunch of leaves and everything. And we go down there for about 2 hours, get a few miles down there. And, and then we just come down to this river, and we don't know where to go after that. And so we look around for like 10 minutes, and we're just like, oh shit, okay, are we lost? Are we fucking lost? Come on, are we lost? Be honest with me. And Nick just comes up to me, he says, all right, Harry, I got some good news and some bad news for you. The good news, right, I know where we're going. Bad news, we've been going wrong since lunchtime, basically. And I'm just like, fucking great, man, like fucking great. And I actually got kind of triggered because Nick was in charge of the map. He kind of tried to pin this off on Sam, but he was in charge of the map, right? He was definitely running the show. So it's just like, what the fuck, man? Because we already had a 14-mile day, and we've just added another 6 miles going down that and back up, right? 20-mile day. And yeah, so we do what we have to. At that point, I was fully tilted. I wanted to give up. I'm not joking. I was thinking about just like, all right, just fucking airlift me out, like just fuck it, right? I don't care anymore. But obviously, you just kind of can't do that. That's just a bitch move, and so we move. We get back up that hill, and we get back up to around where we had lunch, and we keep moving. We find these British hikers. They're like fucking funny as hell. We're like asking them where they think we should go, because we're still unsure of the map after our little fiasco. And they're just like, oh, I said you stay on the Outlobe Trail, go on Daniel Boom Camp. And we're just like, all right, sounds good, bro. And we keep it moving. And eventually it starts getting a little dark, and we get to this fork, which is about, 4 miles away from the end. It looks like on the map, 4 or 5 miles away from the end. And one way is a little bit flatter way back to the same camp, but it's really still well marked on the map. And then the other way is the Outlobe Trail on the way back, which is a bit steeper, right? About the same distance both ways. And so Nick's got a knee injury at this point. He's got some inflammation in his knee. His tendons are fucked from, we've gone like 20 miles already basically today. Maybe a little under that, maybe like 16 miles, today already. And his knees are fucked from all the uphills and downhills and everything. And this, steep hike and everything, right? And so we're sizing up that. So there's Nick's injury, so we go with the flatter way. That's not the trail. Then we're still like, it's still the fact that we've planned the Outlobe Trail and we're not doing what we planned, right? Which is not what you want to do generally. Then there's Ari, who says he really wants to finish the Outlobe Trail. And so we kind of put it to a little vote and try and figure things out. Ari and Sam, Aaron and Sam really want to stick on the Outlobe Trail. Do what we know, finish the Outlobe Trail is what Aaron wants to do, and we're like, all right, we can do that, yeah. Or we could save Nick's knee, and do a slight risk with a well marked thing on the map. And then Ari's just like, all right, well, how about you guys do that, and then I'll go by myself on the Outlobe Trail and finish it myself. And this was like the second point where I actually got pissed off, because splitting up is the dumbest shit you can do. Dumbest shit. Way dumber than going on either path, right? Or even fucking making up your own path. Splitting up is Sorry. And so I kind of popped off on Aaron a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. And eventually he's just like, all right, whatever, dude. I guess we'll just go that other way and stick together. It's fine, whatever. And so we do that. We go on the secondary trail, and it's not as nice as the main trail. It's not as well maintained, I should say. There's branches in the thing and everything, and that's how it goes. And then at some point we get down to this little river crossing. We had to do a river crossing to get to the area we need to go to. And so Nick kind of just grabs all of our bags and hops across. He's a tall guy, and this was like, there were kind of some jumps / stretches, to get across on these stones across the river. It was like, maybe the river was as deep as your knee, so not super deep, but definitely enough to make you annoyed that you got wet, right? And so he jumps on these stones, bringing everything back, and as he's coming back to help Aaron across, Aaron's already out on the rocks, and Aaron's like, I don't know, maybe like 5'7" or something, and he's trying to fucking stretch his legs across this huge gap between the rocks. And so he gets like 1 foot on one rock, 1 foot on the other, and then he tries to shift his weight over to that second foot, and he fucking falls in, of course, right? Like, it's just a silly way to do it. Like, you have to hop across. And so he falls in, gets both his feet completely soaked and everything up to his knee. And so that fucking sucks for the rest of the trail. And and so he gets across, and then so Sam and I have just seen that, and we're just kind of like, ooh, don't want to do that, right? But as Nick's coming back to help Sam across, she, for some, I mean, it's whatever, but she kind of stepped up on the first rock, and then just kind of slipped in, like, for kind of no reason. And then so she got her feet wet, and it's just like, damn. But, Nick helps her across, and she did not look like she was having a good time, but it is what it is. Getting wet like that's not fun. It's all cold and shit, too. And, and then I get across after seeing their, mistakes, and it's all good. And so we're getting down to that last little area, and, we're having a good time. We're talking. We know we're almost at the end. It's pretty much completely dark by now. We just got our flashlights out, and then we finally recognize the last little bit on the map. We walk out, we see this little opening back to Danielle Boom Camp, and and that was the end of our hike on the Art Lobe Trail. That's it for the story, guys. Like and subscribe. Thanks.